Will's on Zoom.
Hey, Will. She asked me, sorry, minutes. She had sent that email, I guess she, and then I responded. Format to you. What do you need? No.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just a general.
That's what I thought it was. I thought we already sent it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I figured that's what it was.
Okay, I didn't think that, but then like that's what she said. But I'm like, okay, well, I'm assuming she has it. You sent it to her, so it will tonight. I'm hoping she sent. No, she sent that one. She sent that with you.
Yeah. Oh. Will, are you there? I thought she sent the minutes from the last.
There was one PDF and one Word.
Yeah. All right. I want to get started. All right, calling to order. Sustainability and Resilience Board Advisory Meeting, May 24th, 2022. And we have present Kate Davis, Daniela Carbonera, and William, are you there? I saw his son outside, actually. Let me check the Zoom link. Maybe he's. Let's see.
Hey everyone, sorry I'm a little late.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How's everybody?
Doing great. Thanks for joining. I just saw your son outside.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I just got home actually. I'm walking in.
I said hi to him. He's like, "Who's this guy?"
Where's your little guy?
He's at karate right now. Okay, so now we have William present. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, do you have the agenda?
Yes, I do. So I guess we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:09. We have two new business items. The first one is the budget requests for 2023. And then item 4B, which is, I put on there just to follow up on that, or maybe you did, William, the Resilient Florida grant, just to follow up on that, because you said that that went through. So I thought it would be something that we should talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Those are the two items. And then we should approve the meetings from the last minute. Sorry,
Yeah.
been a long day. We should approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
William, do you have access to that we can go ahead and approve those? That was a email that Shantae sent on May 17th.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'll pull that up right now.
Take a quick look here. Yeah.
So I saw that the commission approved the renaming of our board.
Yes.
That's exciting
Yes.
for the record.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing. I was happy about that. All right. So, Will, if you got a chance to open that up, we can go ahead and just take a vote for approving those minutes. They look good to me.
Oh, yep, I got it here. This is from the 19th, April 19th.
Correct. The last one. Yeah.
Yep, looks good to me.
All right. So all in favor of approving the minutes?
Approve.
All right. I'm in favor as well. And I'm assuming, Kate, are you in favor as well? Okay.
In favor.
All right. So minutes are approved. So I could just open up about we can talk about the grant. So yeah, that was great news. So that was, I don't remember the exact amount, but it was over $80,000 in the Resilient Florida grant that was approved. That was a grant that I had originally brought to Mario last year. And it was something that was created by the Florida legislature to provide funding for municipalities to first off, create vulnerability assessments related to climate change. So the effects of sea level rise, increased storm activity, basically just to have funding for the municipalities around Miami. Many municipalities have already done this. We hadn't done it yet. And so it's the first step in the process to the next step, which is the more exciting step. Once we have the study, it identifies the vulnerabilities and will present some opportunities for how to address those, whether it has to do with flood mitigation, emergency management, power loss, any kind of risks that come with the changing climate. And once we have that study, then we'll be able to apply for much more significant grants. I mean, it's $500 million that was approved by the Florida legislature to be distributed, much of which I would suspect is going to come to South Florida because we're at most risk in the state. And so once we have that study, which they're going to have to put it out to a request for a proposal from a couple of providers. There's a provider that did it for the city of North Miami, who I had given that information to the village manager. And there's also another provider that we work with. So there's a couple people I think that will probably respond to that.
Sorry, that can do the study. Is that what?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So they've already done these studies before. It's something that it's kind of a niche thing.
That's what we
so-
want,
Yeah, we don't want somebody reinventing the wheel. So it's going to be, it's very specific. It has to follow a certain set of guidelines in order for it to qualify as the type of study that we can use and cite to get further funding. Hey, welcome. All right, Alex is here as well. So yeah, it's very exciting. I'm very happy about it. I mean, it was kind of a last minute thing. We made it happen.
Yeah, thanks for all of your effort in making that happen.
Yeah, no, thanks.
You.
Yeah, that's huge. Congrats.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. We came we came out pretty strong with that. So that's that gives us a little bit of I think street credit with the village, and it's really it's the most basic thing that needs to be done for the village.
So what is the path now? We have
Right.
these funds. Now will be some a bet to hire some society, do the study, and then by the next year we see the action.
Correct. Yeah, it's a long-term thing. So we basically these funds are distributed on from what I understood on an annual basis. So the study is going to take a while. I mean, it's probably going to take 6 months to do the study. I mean, it's a pretty in-depth study. So Alex, we were just talking about the Resilient Florida grant that we were awarded. I don't remember the exact amount, but I think it's over $80,000 to do the climate change vulnerability study. And so Kate was asking about that. So it's huge. I mean, it's a really big deal. And once we have that, a lot of the things that we've talked about doing, we don't necessarily have to wait for that, but those grants can go towards things like solar panels that will provide electricity for the police station in the event of storms, and storm mitigation, drainage. A lot of these projects that are going to kind of happen anyway, those funds can be used for that, and they won't have to come out of our own village funds.
So we can use those right now. There's no allocation process.
Well, with these, you have to pay up front, and then later on, I'm sure there's probably some guidelines that you have to follow. So anything that we do would be done next year. I don't know if it can apply to the grants moving forward. So that's what I have to find out. I'm not really sure, but from what I understood, whatever you're doing later on, those grants can be used to reimburse the money that was paid to do those. So I don't know if it has to be within the same calendar year or how that works, or that I'm not sure yet. I'll have to get together with Mario to see how that's.
So this grant is to develop a feasibility study like a solar panel, then the next grant will pay the solar panel.
Well, not necessarily specifically for solar panels. Basically what it'll do, it'll identify a vulnerability, which is that if a storm happens, our emergency management over there, the police station, they don't have electricity. They won't have electricity. And so one of the suggestions from that study, the proposed solutions could be that we can have solar with battery storage as a possibility for emergency management. So that's kind of the flow of how that goes. So there'll be recommendations that'll come from that study, proposed solutions that later on we can apply for grants to get those.
About the flooding, or which kind of extension of the study go? Means they go really in the complete village,
Yeah.
make a map, and they come with a bunch of solutions.
Yes, if the study is pretty in depth. I mean, if you take a look at the study they did in the city of North Miami, it's pretty in depth. And what they did also, which is pretty interesting, they had some extra funding and they kind of used it to educate the public. They created like a sustainability and resilience handbook for the city of North Miami. It's a pretty cool document that sort of tells you what the risks are, what you can personally do. And so that's something that can come from it as well.
Alex, do you think that you could send, I'm interested to see the city of North Miami and who did that.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
If you don't mind sending that.
See-
And then
see,
my other question is maybe maybe you don't really know this yet, is do you know if an RFP will be issued for that, for the competitive bids? And if we have
Yeah.
any say, and can we be part of the review process for those proposals that come in?
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there will be an RFP because it's over whatever the minimum threshold is for that. But that's a good idea that we could have, input on that. I definitely think that we.
So maybe we make a recommendation that we request that
Yeah.
we.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So let's just go ahead and do that now so we can get it on the. I'm gonna send the climate change vulnerability assessment. I'll send it to Shantae so she can send it to the group from North Miami. So that website that I sent, it's kind of just like talks generally about it, but the actual assessment, I'll need a little time to find it because it's not there. But I know that it's somewhere. It's a pretty extensive document.
Okay.
But it is good to look at because it'll give you good reference for what we'll get and how we can get kind of like action items from it.
Great. I think it will be important for us. I mean, first to be a part of the RFP process if possible, and then to make, obviously they're going to have to, follow those requirements and,
Yeah.
address all the needs that need to be done in the assessment and the report. But then I think at the end of the day, we should be involved in which items are the most important on that list and what we can allocate the grant funds to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think let's just put a motion to request to be part of the RFP review process. I don't know how that works. I don't know if people in the village are allowed to do it. I don't even know if that's something that's allowed, but we can make the request and see what the feedback is. So is everybody all in favor of requesting to be involved in the RFP process for the Resilient Florida Grant?
In
In
favor?
favor?
Agreed.
Agreed.
All right. Any other in favor?
Yeah, agree, in favor.
So that's good. We have unanimous request.
Yeah, I don't know what goes into that. I mean, I've been on our processes for other public entities. Sometimes there has to be diversity. It can't just be work for that department or be various stakeholders. Still, someone from
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be ideal if we could all be involved, in an organized way, but if not, definitely somebody, Kate would probably be a great person to do that. So yeah, all right, that's good. We'll pass that along to the commission so that they are aware of that, because I don't know when that's happening or what the process is with that, but that's a good thing to ask.
we probably, I don't know, do you know of a timeline from when that grant opens and when?
I don't. Grants like that, they're very, very laborious, and there's a lot of red tape and things. So I don't really know too much about it. The process, I mean.
Right. I just, I guess, I was just, once we know, then we'll know and we can put a larger timeline.
So we'll try to get some more information on that for the next meeting to do. Okay, so the second item, it was the budget request. So this is pretty exciting for me. I don't think it's just going to be a one meeting and done sort of thing. I just wanted to have a kind of an initial discussion and get some ideas on what everybody thinks in terms of what we might be able to do, sort of small scale and large scale in terms of budget requests, because that process is going to be happening pretty soon, and we want to make sure that anything we want to do, we bring it to the commission and present it to them, give them sort of a cost benefit analysis and explain what it is that we want to do, why we want to do it, and what kind of benefits there'll be for the village. So I have obviously, ideas myself, but I wanted to let everybody else, I don't know, Will, since you're on Zoom there, if there's anything that you wanted to add to that conversation, we'll let you go.
No, yeah, I think it's exciting that we've got the, I guess, grant idea, which is like parallel to the budget we're going to propose for next year. But in terms of budget ideas, I think from, just I guess picking up where we were last meeting would be the idea of the solar panels, or was there any the other sort of big budget items?
Yeah, I think that would be one of the bigger ones. What do you think, Alex?
No, I agree. I mean, that seems to be pretty top of the list. Something that everyone can sink their teeth.
Yeah, I mean, I know Daniela worked on it a lot, so it's. Well, I mean, you have the
We're talking
information. Yeah.
specifically about the government buildings here.
Correct.
not the red.
Correct. Yeah. I don't know, Kate, what do you think about that? Doing a solar array or kind of like a solar panel energy system.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they have the funding for it, but if they do, I'm all for it. I mean, my only other ideas would be, minimal funds for you know, I don't know if you guys see those little pamphlets that they produce for certain things. But
Mhm.
we could do, you know, something like that. I don't know exactly what it would be for, but whether it be for new things that are coming out in the code, that changes that we make, or for something of like, you know, we could use the grant money, but if we don't, something
Yeah.
like for sustainability purposes, or what's out there for residents. You know, if we ever get the, you know, something to do with the trees and the tree code or landscaping code, if that
Mhm.
ever happens, you know, something like that, kind of how they to produce for the roadway, sorry, for the driveways, you know, something like that for the ordinances. And then I don't really ever know what happened, but we did discuss earlier this year about the website and changes.
Yeah.
I don't know whatever happened, but if we could have you know, if we could have
Yeah.
funding for our page and have resources on that's those are my only thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, if we needed extra funding for that.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to the website actually. Yeah, that'd be a good thing to find out. But that the pamphlet's a great idea. It's a really good idea. And yeah, I don't know if we would have to. That's the thing. I don't know about the grant if it can be like retroactive or something that we did in 2022. But I think for the pamphlets, it's fine because for from what I understood, North Miami, they use those funds as part of what they use to do the pamphlets. So I think that's definitely something doable, whether or not it comes from the grant. But I think it's not something that's very expensive. I don't know if you want to maybe just run some kind of an quick estimate, okay, just to say if we do like a trifold brochure type pamphlet with something about the fertilizer ordinance, the drainage, driveways, landscaping, sustainability, just kind of like a informative
Suggestions.
yeah.
One question: the famous tree they are cutting here and there on the
Yeah.
highway. I saw many of them still with a kind of yellow mark. So this will be the next cut. Do you know if they will continue? But there is any plan to reimplant new trees? There is any funds for that?
I typically the what is it, the Parks and Recs board, I may have their
Yeah.
name wrong, they're the ones who typically obtain the, I don't know if it's grants or trust fund allocation monies to do the plantings. I know there was some issue with them for, I don't know what it was, Alex, it was more about it for this coming year for it or this past year, but they typically are the groups that go after that.
So when we see something cut, there should be a plan to.
Yeah, they do typically have plans to replace that.
I'm sending Shantae, she could send to the group the they call it the mosquitoes in here. Residents Guide to Sustainability and Resiliency. It's really well done. It's really well done. It's pretty significant. I mean, it's like the only thing about that one, it's so in depth that it might be something that we would want to send to residents in the form of a PDF, like people, an email blast and people moving in, and then maybe we do something that's just more general, like a trifold or something that's smaller that would be easier to distribute because nobody's going to sit down and read 50 pages except for people like us. But
No, nobody.
But it's really well done. I think it's got pictures. It's excellent. They did a really good job. And the company that did it, Brizaga, that's one of the companies that I recommended to Mario.
How do you spell their name? What?
Brizaga, Brizaga. I mean, there's very few. The thing about Biscayne Park, since it's such a small village, there are big companies that do these kind of studies, but they're not even going to consider doing something as small as for Biscayne Park. They do like City of Miami, like City of Miami Beach, like big cities. But here, it's going to be a lot harder to find, even enough companies to give proposals to do something like that because it's so specific. But that's one of the companies.
You're talking about the production of the booklet and the research.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, but North Miami is pretty similar to, other than the fact that they have sewer and we don't. But
One question, when we discussed long time ago about the dry wave to have some kind of drainage and things, then this went to the commission and this moved forward because
Yeah.
it is today a rule, because recently did kind of power walk around the community here. And just I saw is everybody's using concrete.
Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, I didn't see any kind of attempt to something else.
Yeah. Well, it's there's no rule as to not using concrete. The only rule I think it passed was that they weren't going to be able to use, I don't even know if it passed yet, to be able to use asphalt in the swale. But no, in the driveway, unfortunately, they still allow them to use asphalt, and concrete we weren't going to stop, but the asphalt I was hoping we would be able to stop. But
So none of that went through the discussions we had.
the only thing that went through is that they had that from what the feedback that we gave is that they increased the minimum diameter of the stones on the gravel.
But they didn't make it a requirement, so people can still pave.
Except for the swale, yeah.
except for this. Okay, that's what I understood. It just seemed
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so that goes into effect in January. So people's driveways who are not in compliance are going to have to fix them. So there are a lot of driveways that are going to be fixed. So it's actually an opportunity, which is something that I wanted to talk about since we're talking about budget, but I want to let everybody else, talk first. That's an opportunity for us to try and promote that, to promote permeability.
This was my question. A budget we can propose also something can help the community, like if you're doing the right choice,
Mhm.
cost more, but village can compensate with something. Is possible to create a budget for that, or out of the question?
Well, it doesn't cost more, first off. Doing gravel instead of concrete costs like half the price. And the same thing with turf block is less expensive than, the most expensive option is concrete. But I don't think that would, I would be very surprised if anything like that would pass. What I am proposing is that we waive all permitting fees for permeable driveways. And it's a very small amount of money. I got the information from Shantae. She got it for me. Basically, in 2021, there were 31 driveway permits with fees of $10,800 total. And this year so far, there are 9 driveway permits. So the average permit fee is $365 for a driveway. So let's say we get 25% of people, 30% of people to do permeable driveways. They'll save the permit fee, but I think it's more of a visibility thing than anything. It makes the village look like we're, promoting it, and it brings it to people's attention. Maybe they don't even consider doing gravel or, permeable pavers or anything like that because they think it's more expensive, but it's actually less expensive.
Also publishable just as like a small case report for other neighborhoods who want to see if there's any like effect in terms of what materials people use with the economic incentive.
Yeah, if that would be interesting to see if there is some kind of, if you want to, maybe you can see it, look in like City of Miami Shores or Village of Miami Shores, Village of North Miami, or any of these. Maybe they have some kind of incentive like that, where I highly doubt that they're giving you money or giving you any kind of like tax break on your property taxes, but maybe. I don't know. I don't even know the mechanism of how that would work.
Yeah, or I would even meant just to like publish our data like before and after this change, just so other communities can see, oh look, maybe it was a small but measurable uptick in like a.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that we would want to do, and so just going back to that, let's say next year there are going to be a lot more driveways that are going to be done because people have to come into compliance. So it's actually a big opportunity for us to try and push and educate the community on why they should be using permeable options.
Like village can use this incentive like to promote the fight against the flooding.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Even if it's $1,000 per unit, is the same. You spend much more just to create new countermeasure for the flooding.
100%. No, the payback is immediate. It's immediate.
Oh,
yeah, it's not a lot of money. So let's say that the average permit fee, it's $365. So let's say it's $400 just because to round it off. And let's say that, you know, the next year there'll be 3 driveway permits per month because people have to come into compliance. Last year it was more like 2. And if we can get 25% of those to be permeable, we're talking about lowering our revenues by what? $3,000-4,000. It's totally negligible. So that should be a no-brainer for them just to be like, let's do it. And maybe we get them to do it just for a year. And like what William was saying, seeing what the results are, and then see how that goes. And that was my proposal on the side of solar panels as well.
We cannot promote any kind of company is doing kind of affordable grower
No, we're not allowed to promote companies.
because it seems the concrete company is really winning here around
They are.
competition.
It's true. But let me tell you, I'm trying to do my driveway right now, and it's almost impossible to get a quote from somebody to do a permeable driveway. I've gotten one quote. Most people, they're like, oh no, your driveway is too small. We don't want to do it. So it's almost impossible to even just get a quote for somebody to put gravel on your driveway. I'm probably gonna have to do it myself.
Okay.
Unless you all know somebody that can do it. It's really hard. It's really hard to find somebody that'll do that because there's so many people that do concrete. To find somebody that'll do turf block or just put gravel on your driveway, it's the demo's the biggest expense. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna just have to hire somebody to come in and yeah. But I don't think it's that simple though, because you have to compact the sand underneath. Like you can't just like pour a bunch of rocks there. Yeah, so that is a challenge. That's a big challenge. So yeah, we can't really specifically promote a specific company, but even if we could, there's not really companies that are doing it that much anymore. So the concrete companies are definitely but so yeah, I mean that was the one. So on the driveway permit fee, I think that would be an
And there is any kind of design we can suggest for the concrete? Because I saw some of them, they do big square with almost some space to drain water
yeah.
or some design, just not to be flat concrete like a basketball field.
Yeah, I mean those kind of like what are they called? The pavers, like paver driveways. It's if you look at how they're making them, there's not really space between them. It's actually all concrete, but they just put like a piece of wood to separate it. So most of them aren't actually like separate pieces of concrete. So there's not even like increased drainage from that. And even if there were, it would be 5%, 10%. It's not like enough to really. So, but I think that if we can educate the community on using gravel and then fingers crossed they find somebody that'll actually do it for them because it is significantly less expensive. But and then with the solar, well anyway, before I continue with that, okay, I know so you had the pamphlets and what else did you have in mind other than that?
I never really followed up with Mario and really meaning to, but to see about what's going on with the landscape ordinance.
Yeah.
But if that was if that did come into place, how would they do those landscape reviews of plans that came in, and would they need funding for additional staff to be able to do that? That I don't know. I don't think that that's really our budget. I mean, that's more of a
Yeah.
overall, but just a thought when I was thinking of budgets for next year. So,
Yeah.
but still worth mentioning, but not something like funds that we would obviously have in our pocket.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but it would be interesting if you get a chance to follow up with them on that because I definitely want to know what's going on with that. It's pretty important, and it goes back to a lot of things: drainage and native. You know, yeah. I think that's yeah, because if there's going to be a permitting fee for landscaping, then maybe that's the opportunity to promote native landscaping and xeriscaping and like things that are low consumption of water and waiving permit fees or something like that. But we don't even know what's happening with that, so it would be good to find out what's going on with that. So, did you have anything else,
Nope.
Daniele?
I don't know if it's our field, but bike lane study.
Mm. Well, I mean, that's something that if you get a chance, I would talk to Mario about, because what they're doing right now is the comprehensive plan. And in the last comprehensive plan we did, there actually was something in there about a bike path around the entire park. And I think if we could figure out a way to do that, however that's done, it would be amazing. But yeah, I would talk to Mario, because that has to do with a comprehensive plan and like zoning and planning. Well, it's actually more planning, not zoning. But I know that they're working on that. The comprehensive plan has to be updated, I believe, by the end of this year. So that's one element that the comprehensive plan, legally, we're actually supposed to follow it. We can't do anything that goes against the comprehensive plan, but it doesn't mean we have to do what's on the comprehensive plan. We just can't do something that goes against what's on it. But if we actively pursue something like that, I would talk to Mario and see what's happening with that, because the comprehensive plan, that's where that would be. That's where that would be. And then of course solar, right? That's your
Yes.
baby.
For the solar, there is these three projects. One is a kind of the cheapest one, covering the 57% of the solar needs for the administrative center, and is just positioning panel in the most efficient way on the roof. That's bring a kind of saving per year is like $3,000. The cost is 49,000. So in 14 years, more or less, you are recovered the investment, and then on 30 years of expected life, you are paying. You are saving. So at the end, like in 30 years, you $150,000 saved. And is promotional, because I think if you put this kind of panel, also the smaller system is visible from the 6th Avenue. So it's a kind of good presentation. The solar panel today, the new generation give even a kind of independence from the network without batteries.
Yeah.
Because this generation of converter, they're giving this power. So it may be also kind of safety for the office,
Yeah.
for the police station and things. May have some grip, and if there is grants going around, they maybe support that.
Yeah.
There is another project extending to the other portion of the roof, can go for the 86% of the electric power. Also here is a bit because the cost of the energy, is growing year by year. We don't know much and things. The panel is a kind of natural damper, because you make an investment and till this is working, producing this kilowatt, and you are compensating by that. The most profitable one will be the recreation center. The system will be like $70,000, covering the 100% of the power. The point what I was also proposing about the solar system was if Biscayne Park can try to contact FPL and see if they can become one unit, one name in front of all of these FPL bill, they are for the public space. Because in that case, even the recreation center is the most optimal position, open and thing, can become a kind of power plant where at the end you are creating more energy than what you are consuming, and then you can use this credit for the other building. So it's like the location is perfect. They have a lot of space, and if instead to pay different bill, you can have a kind of associated bill between the main building they have. They may have some extra benefit from that, because if you make a bigger installation, it's become more efficient in that sense. But I think there is three steps for the administrative building. There is the kind of initial one using just the most efficient way is like covering 60% of the power need today. We can go for an extended one. You go up to 90% of the electrical power need. And then there is another project if is interested for the recreation center. So, but we have a ballpark is 50,000, 80,000, and 70,000. This is the amount. Rooftop, yes.
Well, this is a good point. So this is a recommendation that I would like to make is that we have this huge green space right here behind the village hall. And the problem with roof mounted systems is that that roof has been there for a while. And you run the risk you're putting holes into the roof when you're putting it in. And it's one thing, you're doing it on your house and it's, we fix it, we're responsible for that. But if we're going to be promoting something like this to the village, the last thing, I think people are going to have a lot of ammunition for why we shouldn't do this. And one of the big ones is going to be the roof. They're not going to want to, people are just not going to want to put any kind of holes into that roof to mount the solar. There are going to be people that are going to be against that. And the roof, the life of that roof is going to be shorter than how long those solar panels are going to last. So my recommendation would be to look at a ground mounted system, which would also be visible from 6th Avenue. It's much lower maintenance. It's much simpler to do. You can do a lot bigger array on the ground. I don't know what the costs of a ground mounted system are. It's certainly simpler than putting it on a roof because you just pile posts into the ground. And I think it would look pretty cool. It would be on a space that's totally unused. We have there just sitting there right now. And that's the recommendation. I would maybe if you can find out how much a system like that would cost. I have no
The point is the system like that, just to see the dimension. I think most of the cost here is really the hardware, not really the installation. So the number of panel, number of kilowatt.
right.
So at the end,
It's probably a similar price then.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
will be cheaper for installation.
Yeah.
And you can have probably more panels. So probably the bigger one, 86%, but probably you can go to 100%.
Yeah.
And with this amount or a little bit less.
Yeah. Yeah. You're done. Yeah.
You cannot even fit all the, I mean, there is some limit.
Yeah. That roof over there, it's not a good roof for solar because it has like bumps and it's like to oh, they do. They do. Yeah, the solar trees, they generate, enough to have some kind of a purpose. But that my only recommendation on the solar side of things would be to consider the ground mounted system only because I think it's going to be easier to get buy-in. It's scalable, like you said, and mainly because that roof has been on there since Village Hall was renovated, what, 6, 7 years before I came here, but I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago. So you already have 6 or 7 years in that roof. The roof's going to have to be replaced before the end of the lifetime for those solar panels. Yeah.
I believe we can move for this proposal just to know is the amount of money will be related to the kilowatt we want to generate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So if we can give
For this, I think when you put on the floor, you need to see the shadowing around. So if you
Right.
have big trees and things.
yeah. Well, I mean, the beauty of that space over there are no there's no trees anywhere. It's a huge green space. Some of that is the septic and the drain field. So obviously it can't be where that is, but yeah. Yeah, exactly. Even yeah. Yeah. But I mean that would be my Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to make it, sounds great.
It's a valid question. I think it's true what you're saying though. It's gonna come down to a cost per kilowatt hour, which is probably gonna be either a little bit less or a little bit more for a ground mounted system. But if we use that ballpark figure you have there and then probably add an extra 20% because of inflation and the fact that it's just really hard to get solar panels now.
One thing can be used is the impact about the ecosystem, sustainability, and things. Second point will be the independence for the electrical network in case
Yeah.
of emergency.
Yeah, that's a bigger one.
And I think in the next year there will be also kind of governmental push for the electric car and things.
Yeah.
So this may be also something to recharge
Yeah.
in the sustainable way.
Yeah.
There is some plus in
Yeah.
this kind of investment.
Yeah. I mean, if it were me, I would try to push for whatever the maximum amount that we want is, and then just have the alternative there if they like give pushback on that. The village has money. I mean, they have money. They spend a lot of money. So and the money is going to be even higher now that property values are going up and people are moving in and spending, significantly more in property taxes. So I don't know what that translates to, what that percentage is, but I think that if we identify some grants that we can sort of pursue, and maybe some of these resilient Florida grants later on, if we decide to scale it, can be used for it. And we take the perspective that you're talking about, which is like emergencies and being able to have electricity for the police station. If we use those IQ8 microinverters that create the microgrid, that's a really good point. I'm 100% in favor of that. So I guess maybe let's try to drill down a number that will last for, whether it's 100,000 or 75,000.
100,000 is
Um,
the big installation. Yes.
To me, that would be a good number, and maybe the alternative is 75,000. But it's money that we're gonna spend anyway. But if we spent it on electricity, it's a sunken cost.
Is returning, yes.
Exactly.
So around 10, 12 years, you should have the money back.
Yeah, and that's not even taking into account who knows what kind of increases there'll be in the rates between now and then. So generally speaking, yeah, I think the city of South Miami did it. I think they have solar panels on one of their municipal buildings. They're very progressive in that respect. Yeah, he has solar on his house. I forget what's his name again. Yeah, yeah. Do you know him? Yeah, yeah. He's very outspoken there. Yeah, it'd be interesting if you could maybe find a way to reach out to him if he's accessible, because he could at least maybe give some
Yeah.
ideas of. Yeah, it would be good to have somebody like that who's had been a mayor and they've done something like that, and it's kind of like a third. It's a different perspective. That's not just us. So, I mean, it seems like everybody's in favor of the solar. I think we should just come up with something a little more specific into how we're going to present it. But let's say that why not ask for the 100,000? I don't see anything. I mean, the worst they can say is no, and then we maybe come back with another proposal. But I think if we're going to go for it, we might as well try to go for something meaningful. That's not just for a show. That's going to actually have significant output. Yeah. Yeah.
The good thing about this kind of investment, you can measure it by the day one.
Yep.
By application thing, everything's under control. Means it's just not a blind promise, but
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's what the beauty about being able to scale it is, if they realize that we can do that, and all of a sudden they're offsetting 90% of their electricity costs here, then we get them to do it the next year in the rec center.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And there have to be federal grants out there for this. I mean, there's the infrastructure bill that went through, which is billions and millions of dollars. And within that, there is this is part of infrastructure. And I'm certain that we can get partial, if not full funding for that through the infrastructure bill. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Did you have anything else, Daniele?
Mm,
Um, so one of them on my list was certainly the solar array. So it seems like everybody's on board with the solar array. So we can definitely say that. So the permit fees I also talked about, the basically waiving all permitting fees for solar panels and all permitting fees for permeable driveways. We're talking about between both of those, maybe $5,000 decrease in revenues in the year to do something that really shows that we're committed to promoting these technologies and these measures. I think those permitting fees would be I would like to hope that they're an easy thing to get when you quantify how little money it is that we're asking for. That we're not asking for money. We're just telling them they're going to get $5,000 less revenue from permitting here, where they're getting hundreds of $1,000s in permitting from other improvements. So I don't think it's going to be that significant for them. So, I mean, hopefully that's something they would do. The other one that I had in mind was electric vehicle charging stations, and for two reasons. Number one, I think that there are a couple of village vehicles that I think should be electric vehicles. Of course, I would love for the police cars to be electric. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but the code enforcement vehicle, that Toyota RAV4 that they have there, I don't know if we own it or if, I'm pretty sure we lease it. We could lease an electric vehicle for pretty much the same price as that, like a Chevy Bolt, and have a charger here for that, and also a charger for employees. So any employee that works for the village, they have the option to have an electric car because there's a charger here in their workplace. So that's one of the big things for adoption of electric vehicles. A lot of people want to do it, but they don't have chargers at their workplace. And so for us to be able to do that, to put a charger for employees, and then maybe put a couple of chargers over in the rec center for residents to be able to use. You can't really limit who uses them, but you can actually get revenues from them. So, people actually pay to charge their car. So if you set up like a couple of charge points, they did it in North Miami, actually. I don't know if y'all ever gone to the French bakery over there,
Right, yeah,
in the back.
Yeah.
They did that. They actually did that with, I talked to their sustainability coordinator. They just did that with funds from the city.
You were
They did it themselves, yeah.
you were watching something now about
I was just
FPL.
looking that up right now.
Uh,
before
I'm-
you-
I was-
What's that?
Alex, I was going to piggyback that what you said. I said if you're talking solar, we should talk about the charging station. So
Yeah, I
I'm
was
right
just
on that.
looking it up As you, before you even mentioned it, on FBNL's website, because I just.
Yeah.
saw in Miami Shores had some at the pool,
Uh-huh.
and they were FPNL ones, so I was just looking up the FPNL. ones.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be so the way that those work, FPL, pretty sure they pay for the whole thing. It's kind of like a marketing thing that they do. So that maybe their sustainability and resilience board over there, I can reach out to them. I talked to one of the members one time, that I think it was the chair, forget her name, but that's a really good call out, because if we can get FPL to do that, and you know what they also do, they do solar installations as well.
Exactly.
So I think there's opportunities there to to get what we want without maybe having to pay all of it or any of it.
Yeah, it just said something. I mean, you have to email them for more information, but it said something about if you can commit to a 10-year commitment for 4 parking spots. So it looks like
Yeah,
you have to have four spots.
dedicated spots. Yeah.
I mean, I was like looking around. I mean, the only ones we have were like right here or in the park. I mean, the park seems like a more
Yeah.
realistic place than right here.
The only thing that concerns me about that is because they're doing that whole improvement over there, and that's not already in that plan. So we would have to like somehow figure out a way to get that integrated. Where if we at least did something here, where there's like maybe I don't know 2 there and like 2 there. That's going to be a heavy lift, especially there where there's hardly any parking spots. So maybe, yeah, we'll have to look into that, but we can find information on it.
Right, or they're
Yeah.
gonna make more parking spots. There's plenty of parking.
What's that?
Make more parking spots if we're not careful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, from what I was looking at, just like kind of general idea for 4 ports would basically allow 4 cars to charge. If we were just going to pay for it out of pocket, we're probably talking about $25,000. But there's revenues from that you get from people charging their cars too. So there is, I don't know what the payback period is, but it's more of promoting EVs within the village and with letting staff, if they want to get an electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid, they're able to do it at work. So that's something that I think we should look into. I can contact, let's see. So you said it was at the recreation center, Kate?
For the shores, no, it was at the pool.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
They may have them at the rec center too. I just haven't noticed. I
Okay,
can look next time.
very cool. Yeah, FPL might not want to talk to me though. I was out there.
I sent already. I will do again. It was
It was a while ago. It was like probably 5 months, 6 months ago. Yeah.
I will send. Yes.
So there was one more that I wanted to bring up. So apparently, I did an information request from FPL just to find out how much we're paying, like how many kilowatt hours. I don't know, Daniela, if you did that when you went through that process with.
No, they
Yeah.
he did the guy helping. So there is all the kilowatt use. There was some reference July 21, July 2020.
Okay, so you got that, yeah.
So there is it's based on kilowatt consumption.
Yeah, so it turns out we're paying $2,000 a month for lighting, for street lighting in the village, which is outrageous. Like we're paying for non-LED lamps
Let's go solar.
village. So yeah, again, I mean that's one part of it. But even aside from that, all of these lamps in the village there's maybe like 2 or 3 of them that are solar. The rest of them are just like this old school like sodium lighting that is crazy. So I haven't worked up any numbers for how much it would cost for us to convert to LED lighting, but the fact that we're paying $2,000 a month on electricity for street lighting is just like blew my mind. It totally blew my mind. The funds are coming from our CITT funds, which are funds that we have to use anyway, and we're very limited on what we can use them for. But if we can use those CITT funds, and I believe we can, to convert all of the street lighting to LED in the village, I mean, of course, we have to use like soft lighting, not these like bright blue light LEDs, but very warm lighting that's like dark sky compliant and friendly to down lighting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like dark sky. So
They replaced one on my street, and it's my neighbor's.
I saw it. Oh my God. It goes into your house too, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does kind of stretch that way with my neighbor across the street says, I don't need my lights on.
Horrendous. I just saw it 2 days ago. I was gonna call you about that.
It's at the alleyway there on 121st, and I guess that's like.
11th. Yeah, 11th quarter. or something. Yeah.
But it's on the corner, but it's on the North Miami side. So I don't know who had a hand with it.
No, but here's the problem. If FPL can go in there and do that without anybody having any hand in it, so that can happen to any one of our lights here. So we have to be proactive about that.
They did on the 6th Avenue where I live. They changed all this kind of street light. I don't
It's
even
pretty,
advise.
pretty obnoxious. I understand it being, you know,
Safety.
exactly, there
but,
being a safety
like,
concern, but that's.
I
Don't-
never saw that that corner being that big of a safety because I couldn't believe how bright that was. They did it in the entire city of Miami. Like my dad's house, that light, if you go to like around what do they call it? Nomi, like 74th, Northeast 74th, all the way down to like 60th or whatever, down that way on Biscayne. All of the lamps are like that. It's like you go in there and it's like this blue LED hospital lighting throughout the whole street. So we do have to be careful about what we have to try and see if we can choose what kind of LED lighting there is. But it was just shocking to me that we're paying $2,000 a month.
Beside LED, is it really not possible to convert some of them in the solar? Because I use
Yeah, absolutely, you can do
house
that.
in my garden and things, and they're super effective. It's already 2-3 years they're there.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think when you do that, there it comes down to it starts to get a little more complex in terms of what the municipal requirements are for lighting. And if they say, well, what if there's like this many cloudy days or there's like an emergency or you don't have sun. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. I think that's the first thing I thought is why don't we just put solar street lighting? And there's a lot of solar street lighting out there. It's probably double the cost, but pays for itself really quickly.
Yes.
So yeah. So I'm gonna look into the LED lighting. I want to find out from Mario what like I talked to him just briefly about what that was, and it's not the lights here on 6th Avenue, which I don't believe are LED lights either. That's done by FDOT. It's for the internal street lighting. So that's one of the things I think we should. It's like a low hanging fruit. Like if we convert it to LED, we'd be paying $200 a month instead of $2,000 a month because it's about 90% more efficient. I mean, 90% less electricity. So, I mean, does everybody think that that's a good thing to pursue? The LED
I think
lighting.
so.
Absolutely.
We did already for the ship years ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's like something that you would have thought they would have done by now. There are a few lamps in the village that are LED already, and they're actually not too bad. They're like relatively warm white. They're not crazy bright. You don't go blind looking at them. But that one that they installed near your house, that's on the North Miami side. It's on the North Miami side, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, okay. So why don't we do this? Maybe just so we can close here, because this is going to be more of a long-term conversation. So these are the ones that we have, I think, so far. So we talked about the proposing a solar array for the village, permitting fees, waiving permitting fees for solar panels and for permeable driveways. We talked about converting street lighting to LED lighting in the village, which again, that's CITT funds. So that's funds that we have. Like we have hundreds of thousands of dollars that need to be spent, and we can spend it on that. And let's see what else was there. Oh, so the electric vehicle charging stations, and then the pamphlets for like sort of the citizen guide on sustainability that we can distribute. I think those are the items that we talked about.
There's one more thing, and we can certainly discuss it later because I know we're running out of time. I think you had mentioned at one point doing some sort of, for lack of better, a trade show
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, vendors come at invitation, not requiring anybody or selecting anyone.
Yeah.
And I didn't know timing wise if that's something you wanted to strike while the iron's hot around Earth Day. Or
Yeah. I mean,
quarterly thing, and if that would be a budgetary item. We can talk about the specifics, but
yeah.
it's something you want to.
I don't think that's necessarily a budgetary item. I don't think we're talking about more than a couple $1,000s. That would be something that the village could basically approve in a commission meeting.
Okay.
I think it's some more of a long term, like that would be for Earth Day next year, I think, because
Correct.
this year, even if we had something like that, nobody can get anything done right now. There's just the lead times on getting anything right now. It's just a big deal. So I wouldn't want to have a lost opportunity where people get super excited and they're like, oh yeah, we can install solar, but it's going to take 6 months to even get solar panels. So I think that is definitely something we should absolutely do. But I do think that that's probably something we should look at for 2023, in my opinion, unless you see otherwise.
No, it's quite all right. It was more of a question, like, do you think that's worth budgeting, or if it's not much of a
Budget-wise-
cost, then we'll just let it go and ask for,
I don't think that
Support
there's
when we
a
need it.
significant budget involved in that. It's more of a logistical thing. I don't think there's really. Basically, we just have to ask to use the rec center. They've done it before, so we just use the rec center and invite a bunch of providers to go in there and
right, I mean, the rest is promotion and whatever else we
yeah.
do with it, so.
Yeah.
And we can maybe, like I said, if we time it right, we could piggyback whatever other folks are with the village is doing for Earth Day. And it-
Oh, 100%. That's when we should do it. Yeah, absolutely. That's when we should do it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So, Kate, did you get all those items? Okay, so let's just take, well, we don't need to take a vote yet because so why don't we, so Daniela, if you want to work on maybe finding out with regards to the solar array, if is like any difference between if we want to just do a kilowatt hour proposal or just do something that specifically talks about ground mount and see what those ground mounted costs are so we can maybe compare, maybe talk to, I don't know if Geronimo does ground mount, but maybe he could at least provide some insight on that.
Exactly.
So, and then come up with a number that we're gonna
Mhm.
request, which is probably gonna be like that sort of $100,000 number. On the permitting fees, we have the numbers. I mean, I think that one we can actually even already vote on because like the numbers are there. I have the numbers right there. I mean, if everybody's in favor of doing that, we can already put that on our list of proposals that everybody's already voted on and approved. If everybody's
We'll also propose the conventional one on the roof because the roof at the end with the systems reinforced, and then you have a shadowing effect cooling down the building. There is some advantage to have the things on the roof.
wait, say again? Say again?
I will not abandon, I will propose not to abandon also the conventional proposal.
No. I'm not saying to abandon it. I want to give them options.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
okay.
give them options because let them decide. If we give them something that we give the pros and cons of each one,
Okay.
because at the end of the day, we're not going to be the ones making that decision. We just say, look, these are the options. This is going to cost this much. Ground mounts. This is the advantages to doing it on the ground. This is the advantage of doing it on the roof, and then let them decide.
Okay.
So no, I don't think we should abandon that at all. It would look great. I just think that for me, the issue is the lifespan of that roof. I don't know how old it is. And then if we put something there, but again, we can provide that to them and then they can, we have it to, I mean, with these sort of things, I think we have to sort of let them make that decision based off the information that we give them, because it's going to sort of empower them as well to have the right information to make a good decision. And they'll be invested in it too. Instead of us just saying, hey, this is what we should do. This is why we should do it. Give us the money, so. Okay. Yeah. So is everybody in favor of requesting that, or let's put it this way, all in favor of requesting that all solar panel permitting fees and driveway permitting fees for permeable driveways are waived for the entire year of 2023?
Aye.
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 Yeah. Will you in favor of that? Okay, I don't know if he's still there, but so at least that one that's an easy one. We have the numbers and we can present that. So at least we don't have to discuss it again because it's already there. So basically, Kate, if you want to put on your record, so that would be, we would be requesting on the solar panel permits, a decrease of, let's see. Second.
So I have that the board is requesting to waive all permit fees associated with the installation and permitting for solar panel installs and permeable driveways.
Correct. So the actual amount of money that would be, it's on the solar panel side, it's probably going to be about $3,000 less revenue. And on the driveway side, it's going to be about $3,500 in lost revenues. So not significant. And for the electric vehicle charging stations, I can work on that. I did some just preliminary stuff, study on that, but I can get more information in terms of like what grants might be available, and then I'll reach out to the Miami Shores Village about their FPL chargers. And then does somebody want to take the LED lighting and maybe find out? Well, we first have to just kind of find out what, and this will probably just be asking Mari. I mean, I can do it. I already started the conversation, but if anybody else is interested in taking that one on the LED lighting side of things and just figuring out what kind of input we can have on the LED lighting, and then maybe looking at some options.
I can take that considering
You're kind of vested in that one.
I'm
So
more vested.
that's yeah, I figured you might want that one. So
Certainly reach out to Mario.
yeah. So maybe,
Some sort of conversation with someone.
yeah. Yeah.
Not finding another solution or not letting that happen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. So Alex will work on the LED lighting. I'll work on the electric vehicles, Daniela, and then Kate, you're going to look into just maybe coming up with a budgetary number for the pamphlets. And that's pretty much it. So I don't know how you guys feel, but I think we have some good, we're starting to get some momentum. I think we have some like concrete goals of things that we can start to at least put in motion, even though it's municipal, so it doesn't happen overnight. But the commission is certainly listening to our recommendations, and just because they're not following all of them, they are listening to, they respect our opinion. And yeah.
We'll have more discussion about the budget and things. So
Yeah. No, I think I think for the next meeting, we should look into a little more specifics into number one, the actual budgetary number we're going to ask for, and number two, assigning whoever is going to be presenting each one of those items, and kind of just doing a little pitch, coming up with a pitch for how we're going to present that to the commission, and then just having everybody approve officially that we are making that request, like we did for the permitting fees. So the next meeting, let's see,
Next meeting is on June 21st.
June 21st. Okay.
I'm not going to be here in town, but I probably could call in.
Actually, I'm not going to be here either, and I'm going to be in Italy, so I'm not going to be able to. Actually, I'm going to flight back from Italy, I think. Yeah.
I'll be here, but I probably won't be able to be here. If anything.
Okay, so maybe let's see if we can move that date. So June. Let's see. So we have Tuesday, June. Yeah, Tuesday, June 7th is one day. Maybe we could.
Say that again.
It would be Tuesday, June 7th.
That's commission.
Oh, okay. So then not. Wait,
The
commission is
7th
Tuesday or
is
Monday?
June on the calendar. They have it.
Oh, okay.
June 7th is commission. The 14th is Biscayne Park Foundation.
Look at the calendar.
So really Thursday, the 23rd or the 28th, which is a Tuesday.
I could actually probably do Thursday the 23rd. Let me see. So yeah, I could actually do Thursday the 23rd. Would that work for
That works for me.
Yeah, I would still have to call in, but I could
Okay.
just be present
Which
online.
day?
So it's a Thursday, June 23rd.
Available.
Okay. Kate, when are you coming back?
Never.
Okay.
Extend vacation.
Yeah.
No, not really never. But not for not till July. So,
Okay. No, I was gonna say, but maybe we did it next week if you were
Yeah,
gonna be
no.
back, but okay. All right.
I can
So,
just call in.
so we can do that Thursday, the 23rd. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and request that to Shante.
Okay. Okay, so that's if that's it, then we can adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, everybody in favor of adjourning? That was a good meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Will, if you're still there, you all good? We lost him. All right. All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're changing to